I swing open my front door, expecting to see my work SUV parked right where I left it, but there's nothing, just an empty spot staring back at me. No warning siren, no ticket, just a long skid mark on the pavement and a crumpled note scrawled in Sharpie. Towed for aesthetic violation. I blink, my jaw dropping. My SUV, a city-issued vehicle, parked perfectly within the lines, inspected and cleared for duty, has vanished without a trace. I'm standing there in my driveway, still in my tactical boots from a long shift, when it hits me like a freight train. This is Karen Whitaker's fingerprints all over it. She's the HOA president who's made a name for herself with her iron-fisted, made-up rules, and now she's gone too far. I grabbed the note, my blood boiling as I read it again. Aesthetic violation? My vehicle's a standard-issue black SUV, not some neon monster truck with flames on the side. I'm a cop, a trainer for the city's rapid response team, no less, and Karen just towed my car like it's her personal playground. I can't help but laugh, a sharp, bitter sound, as I pull my badge from my pocket, the gold glinting in the morning light. Congrats, Karen, I mutter under my breath, already dialing the towing company to track down my ride. You just messed with the guy who trains cops to take down real threats, not clipboard tyrants like you. I'm not just annoyed, I'm ready to make her regret this little stunt. What happens when an HOA Karen picks a fight with the wrong badge-wearing dad? Buckle up, because this story's about to take a turn that'll leave you gasping, and Karen wishing she'd never touched my car. Let me tell you about Alex Rivera, a 42-year-old former SWAT officer who's seen more action than most blockbuster heroes. For 15 years, Alex led high-stakes missions, busting armed robbers, rescuing hostages, and defusing standoffs that'd make your heart stop, before transitioning to a new role as a rapid response trainer for the city's police department. He's the guy who teaches cops how to stay cool under fire, drawing on years of experience where one wrong move would have cost lives. But behind the badge and the steady gaze, Alex carries a heavy loss. His wife, Maria, passed away from cancer 3 years ago, leaving him to raise their 10-year-old daughter, Sophia, alone. I'm not big on making noise, he'd tell you, his voice quiet but firm. I just want a safe place for Sophia to grow up, somewhere she can laugh without worrying about the world I used to fight. That's why Alex moved to Pineview Estates, a quiet suburb that once felt like a postcard of community spirit. Kids biking in the streets, neighbors sharing lemonade on porches, all living by unwritten rules of kindness. That is, until the HOA took over like a storm cloud on a sunny day. Enter Karen Whitaker, the HOA president who rules with the ferocity of a drill sergeant on a power trip. Karen's obsessed with aesthetic standards. Grass must be exactly 2.5 inches, mailboxes only in approved shades of beige, and heaven help you if your car doesn't meet her personal vibe check. She struts around in her signature collared shirts, a pen tucked into her belt like a sheriff's pistol, issuing fines for the smallest infractions. $75 for a non-compliant garden gnome, $50 for a basketball hoop visible from the street. Alex kept his head down, focusing on Sophia, her school plays, her bedtime stories, but Karen had other plans. She sent letters demanding he repaint his fence, fined him for excessive Halloween lights, and even cited him for dog hair on the sidewalk despite him not owning a pet. Alex just wanted peace, but Karen was about to learn that you don't poke a sleeping bear, especially one with a badge and a mission to protect his family. The morning after I discovered my SUV was gone, I was on a mission. That crumpled note, towed for aesthetic violation, was still clenched in my fist as I dialed Karen Whitaker, the HOA president who'd clearly orchestrated this madness. My work vehicle, a city-issued black SUV used for rapid response training, had been towed without warning, and I wasn't about to let that slide. When Karen picked up, her voice was as cold as the morning air. I could practically hear her sipping her coffee as she cut me off mid-sentence. "Mr. Rivera, there are no special cars here," she said, her tone dripping with disdain. "Don't delude yourself into thinking you're above the rules." She paused, then added with a sneer, "Maybe next time, park something that doesn't ruin our neighborhood's vibe." Then she hung up, leaving me staring at my phone, my blood boiling hotter than a summer pavement. I stood there in my driveway, the empty spot where my SUV should have been staring back at me like a slap in the face. Karen's icy dismissal wasn't just a power trip, it was a calculated move to flex her fake authority, using her made-up, aesthetic rules to seize my property without a shred of legitimacy. This wasn't about my car looking out of place, it was about control, pure and simple. She thought she could bully me into submission, humiliate me in front of my neighbors, and walk away sipping her coffee like nothing happened. But she didn't know who she was dealing with. I'm Alex Rivera, a guy who spent 15 years in SWAT and now trains cops to handle real emergencies, not HOA Karens with a grudge. I wasn't just mad, I was livid. Karen had crossed a line, and I wasn't going to let her get away with it. My daughter, Sophia, deserved a safe, peaceful home, and I'd be damned if some clipboard queen ruined that. What happens when a power-hungry HOA Karen messes with a rapid response trainer who knows the law better than she ever will? You're about to find out, and trust me, Karen's about to learn a lesson she'll never forget. The story exploded faster than I could have predicted. Within hours of me posting about the incident on the neighborhood's online group, the headline, "HOA tows SWAT trainer's car by mistake," went viral across local resident forums and real estate pages. People were tagging their friends left and right, comments flooding in like a tidal wave. "This is why I'll never buy in an HOA. Karen's at it again. Someone stop her. Wait, a cop's car got towed." The internet was buzzing, turning Karen into the poster child for HOA tyranny overnight. Neighbors who'd been silent started sharing their own horror stories. Cars towed for unapproved paint shades, fines for ugly lawn chairs, turning our quiet suburb into a hotbed of outrage. It wasn't just my fight anymore. It was a full-on rebellion. I wasn't about to let the momentum die. I got to work, using every trick I'd learned from 15 years in SWAT and my current gig training cops. First, I snapped photos of the skid marks where my SUV had been dragged away, the crumpled note still in my hand, its sharpest scrawl practically screaming Karen's name. I recorded a voice memo of my call with her, her icy, "Don't delude yourself," playing on repeat in my mind. I reached out to a buddy at the precinct, who confirmed the tow company Karen used was a sketchy outfit with a history of illegal seizures, perfect ammo for what I had planned. I wasn't just gathering evidence for me, I was building a case for every neighbor she'd wronged. Karen, sensing the heat, doubled down. Her towing posse, a crew of hired goons from some shady third-party company, started prowling the streets, their trucks lurking like vultures. They towed a nurse's car for expired tags, they weren't, and even a minivan parked in a driveway because it clashed with the curb appeal. The neighborhood was on edge, people whispering in group chats, "Who's next?" But the internet kept the fire burning. Short clips started popping up online. Grainy Ring camera footage of Karen's team towing cars in the dead of night, paired with before and after photos of empty driveways. One viral post captioned "Karen's towing tyranny" racked up thousands of shares, turning her into a meme. When you park in an HOA, and Karen's on the hunt, she wasn't just a neighborhood nuisance anymore, she was a full-blown internet villain. I knew this was my chance to strike. With the evidence in hand and the community behind me, I planned to confront Karen at the next HOA meeting, where I'd lay out her crimes for everyone to see. I wasn't just fighting for my car, I was fighting for every neighbor who'd been bullied into silence. Karen thought she could rule with an iron fist, but she'd just lit a fire she couldn't put out. What happens when a viral uprising meets a SWAT trainer with a badge and a plan? You're about to see Karen's reign crumble in the most satisfying way. Just when I thought I had Karen's number, a bombshell dropped that turned the whole game on its head. While digging through the neighborhood's security footage, thanks to a tip from a tech-savvy neighbor, I stumbled upon a goldmine, a video from one of Karen's own surveillance cameras, the ones she'd installed to spy on residents for her petty violations. The footage was crystal clear, showing Karen barking orders at her towing crew the morning my SUV disappeared. "Get that eyesore out of here," she snapped, pointing at my car, her voice dripping with venom. "I want to teach him a lesson he'll never forget." She smirked, sipping her coffee, oblivious to the fact that her own system was recording every word, capturing her in the act of orchestrating an illegal tow just to flex her power. The irony was almost too good to be true. Karen's obsession with control had backfired spectacularly. Her own cameras, meant to keep us in line, had caught her red-handed, exposing her cruelty for the world to see. I downloaded the footage, my heart racing as I realized this wasn't just evidence, it was a weapon. I uploaded a clip to the neighborhood's online group, and within hours, it went viral. Residents shared it like wildfire, their comments a mix of shock and savage humor. "Karen really thought she was untouchable, huh? Look at her now," one wrote. Another posted a meme of her sipping coffee with the caption, "When you tow a cop's car but forget you're on camera." The internet turned her into a laughingstock, her own surveillance system becoming the noose around her neck. But this wasn't just about memes, it was a game changer. The footage didn't just prove Karen had targeted me, it showed her pattern of abuse, her willingness to weaponize her fake authority against anyone who dared to defy her. Neighbors who'd been too scared to speak up started coming forward, sharing their own stories of towed cars and baseless fines. The tide was turning, and I knew I had her on the ropes. Karen thought she could bully me into submission, but she'd just handed me the key to her downfall. What happens when HOA Karen's own tools turn against her, exposing her to the very community she terrorized? You're about to see a showdown that'll flip the script in the most epic way. The HOA meeting that night was electric. Neighbors packed the community center, the air buzzing with tension as Karen took the stage, her usual smirk plastered on her face. She clutched her gavel like a scepter, ready to lecture us on community standards, but I was ready to turn her world upside down. I stepped forward, holding my phone, and hit play on the security footage. Karen's voice echoed through the room. "Get that eyesore out of here. I want to teach him a lesson." Then came the kicker, her smug follow-up. "They won't sue. They're too scared of legal fees to even try." The crowd fell silent, the weight of her words hanging heavy as every eye turned to her, shock turning to fury. The silence shattered when Mrs. Carter, a sweet retiree who'd been fined for her unapproved rose bushes, stood up, her voice trembling with rage. "You called us they?" she shouted, pointing a shaky finger at Karen. "You think we're just pawns for you to bully?" The room erupted, neighbors murmuring, some shouting, as Karen's face turned beet red, her gavel slipping from her hand. I didn't stop there. I projected more evidence. Screenshots of her emails ordering illegal tows, photos of skid marks from my driveway, and a report from the city confirming my SUV was towed without cause. "This isn't just about me," I said, my voice steady but firm. "It's about every one of you she's terrorized." Karen stammered, "This is a setup," but it was too late. I'd already called in backup, a city attorney and 2 off-duty officers who'd been itching to take her down. They walked in, badges gleaming, as the attorney announced, "Karen Whitaker, you're under investigation for abuse of power, theft, and fraud." The crowd gasped. The next morning, the old HOA sign, a gaudy metal plaque that had loomed over Pineview Estates like a symbol of oppression, was torn down with a satisfying clang. In its place, the residents came together, hammering in a hand-carved wooden sign that read, "Oak Hill, a community by us, not clipboards." Kids ran through the streets, free from Karen's fines, while neighbors swapped stories over coffee, their laughter echoing where fear once reigned. The change wasn't just symbolic, it was a rebirth, a declaration that Pineview was done with tyrants. Karen faced the music hard. 11 families filed civil lawsuits against her for wrongful towing, intimidation, and fraud, their cases backed by the mountain of evidence I'd gathered. Local news picked up the story, running segments titled HOA Karen's Towing Terror, with residents sharing tales of her aesthetic abuses, cars towed for wrong colors, fines for unapproved mailboxes. Karen's name became a punchline, her reign of terror reduced to a cautionary tale for overzealous HOAs everywhere. She was looking at hefty fines, legal fees, and a reputation in tatters, her clipboard dreams shattered for good. For me, it was about more than getting my car back. It was about giving Pineview its freedom. Neighbors who'd once kept their heads down now waved with genuine smiles, their trust in the community restored. I went back to training cops, but with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing I'd protected not just Sophia, but an entire neighborhood from a bully who thought she was untouchable. Pineview wasn't just a suburb anymore. It was a testament to what happens when people stand up together. A week later, I stood on my porch, watching Sophia chase fireflies in the yard as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold. Pineview Estates was quiet again, not the tense silence of Karen's reign, but the peaceful kind, where kids could laugh and neighbors could breathe easy. The mural on our street, Oak Hill, Freedom Over Fines, stood as a reminder of what we'd fought for, a badge of honor for a community that refused to bow. I'd spent years thinking justice only happened in courtrooms, chasing down criminals in the field, but now I knew better. Sometimes it starts with a car towed for no reason, and ends with a neighborhood that no longer ducks its head in fear. Sophia ran up, her eyes sparkling, a wide grin on her face. "Dad, you're a real hero, you know that?" she said, hugging my leg. I chuckled, ruffling her hair, my heart swelling with pride, not for the busts I'd made or the agents I'd trained, but for this moment, right here, knowing she'd grow up in a place where bullies didn't win. The residents had rebuilt, forming a new council where voices mattered more than clipboards, their unity a quiet rebellion against anyone who'd try to control them again. I'd taught cops how to face danger, but Pineview taught me how to face tyranny in the everyday. Ever had Karen try to run your life with fake rules? Drop your story below. I want to hear how you fought back and won. If this epic takedown of HOA Karen had you cheering, smash that like button and share it with anyone who's ever dealt with a power-hungry neighbor. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss more stories of justice, petty revenge, and community wins that'll keep you hooked. I want to hear from you in the comments. Ever had an HOA tow your car or slap you with ridiculous fines? Spill the tea. Your story might just inspire my next video, and I'd love to share it with the world. Let's keep standing up to bullies together.